After being in love for 10 years, Lucas finally agreed to get married. I was so busy preparing for the wedding that I was in a complete mess while he was being affectionate with Amber, who had bullied me before on a variety show without any scruples. Don't overthink it. It's just work, flashed his perfunctory message on the screen. But I was right by the seaside where the variety show was being recorded. The sea breeze was blowing, and Lucas and Amber walked hand in hand not far away. On the wedding day, "You have to propose to me in front of everyone," Amber hugged Lucas and coquetted wantonly. Lucas had a doting look on his face, and the tenderness in his eyes was a luxury that I hadn't seen for a long time. I felt as if all my strength had been drained away. At this moment, the warm waves were lapping at my ankles, but I felt as if I had fallen into an ice cellar. My fingertips dug into my flesh, causing a sharp pain. From childhood sweethearts in our school days to supporting each other in the entertainment industry, we had been together for over 10 years, yet betrayal only took a moment. I tried my best to hold back my tears, but still 2 lines of clear tears rolled down my cheeks. Ding! A message came from my phone. It was from my assistant. "Lily, for tonight's celebration banquet, do you need me to pick you up at the airport then? I have something to deal with. I won't take a plane to your side." Putting down my phone, I slowly walked away against the sea breeze, feeling dazed. The celebration banquet was naturally held because the variety show had become a huge hit. I had participated in the planning of the variety show. This stretch of sea that was chosen had once been the place that Lucas and I liked the most, but now it had become a hotbed for his affair with Amber. It was an indescribable irony. At first, I didn't know that Amber would show up. I had originally thought that this name that had brought me nightmares would never appear in my life again. Until I found her name on the list. Out of anger, I wanted to terminate the cooperation with the program team. It was Lucas who patiently persuaded me. "Lily, after all, we've already signed the contract. Breaching the contract will have consequences. Don't worry. I know what I'm doing." Full of a sense of security, just as always. Even though our relationship hadn't been made public, I had never worried. Even though he was a movie king, in my heart, he had always been that boy in the white school uniform. But it was only until now that I realized that that gentle face was just a mask. I took a plane home overnight and soaked myself in the bathtub, trying to wash away all the unpleasantness on my body. My phone kept vibrating. It was messages in the work group. Everyone was celebrating the huge success of the variety show, and pictures of the celebration banquet were released one after another. Amber was snuggling in Lucas's arms, and their lips were almost touching. Then there were several videos. The protagonists were obviously Lucas and Amber, and people in the background were constantly cheering. "Get together. Get together. Soon," Lucas sent a message. "Don't overthink it. It's just putting on an act." In the past, these words would have brought great comfort. But this time, I immediately quit the group chat and dialed a phone number on the other side of the ocean. "Hello, I'm willing to accept your invitation." It was an entertainment company in Hollywood. They had intended to poach me for a long time, but for Lucas's sake, I had always chosen to refuse. I couldn't bear to part with the entertainment company we founded together, nor could I bear to part with Lucas. When we had sorted out the contract matters, it was already dawn. I washed my face with cold water. The cold touch couldn't match the chill in my heart at this moment. For 7 years, I had been tired and weary, but I had never regretted it. It was only until yesterday when I discovered the relationship between Lucas and Amber that I truly realized how ridiculous I was. I was willingly trapped in the web woven by lies and disguises and immersed myself in it. Ding! The sound of the door opening came, and Lucas appeared at the door. Before I could say anything, Amber's figure flashed out from behind him. "Sister Lily," she said with a smile, looking submissive. "What are you doing here?" Hearing the coldness in my voice, Lucas quickly explained. "Lily, Amber has come to apologize to you. Last night when you quit the work group, everyone saw it. The nice party ended on such a bad note. Amber thinks it's all her fault." The blame in his tone was something I had never heard before. "So, am I the one who should apologize?" "That's not what I meant. It has nothing to do with Amber anyway. Then you brought her home? Lucas, do you remember what I said? I don't want to see her. I lowered my voice, trying my best to control the anger in my heart. The pain of losing my mother, the fear of being bullied, and those dark days locked in the small dark room. The nightmarish past came flooding back, and Amber and her mother were the culprits. Lucas knew about it. That day when I was a teenager, I hid in the grass in the wild, with the wounds on my body hurting terribly and shivering all over. It was Lucas who found me. He held my warm hand, and at that moment, I felt extremely at ease. All these years, he knew best about the harm those past events had done to me. But now he was standing just a few meters away from me, yet it seemed as if we were separated by a whole world. Lily, Amber was young back then and didn't understand much. Today, Amber has come to ask for your forgiveness. After all, you are half-sisters. Amber? I clenched my fists. When we were in the same middle school, Amber always spoke ill of me to those delinquent girls. There were even several times when she stole other people's things and said that I did it. I was cornered and bullied, with my hair pulled, punched and kicked, and words like, bitch, go to hell, were carved all over my desk. But when I told my father, he had already believed what Amber and her mother said. He thought that I was deliberately playing the victim and trying to take all of his love. The gloom of being bullied had shrouded my teenage years. All of this was thanks to Amber and her mother. Lucas knew all of this clearly. It wasn't until he saw my trembling body that a hint of panic and pity flashed in Lucas's eyes. Lily, calm down. Lucas tried to hold my hand, but I shook it off vigorously, revealing the scars on my arm. When I was 11 years old, I was sitting quietly at the door reading a book when Amber deliberately bumped into me with a scalding hot soup bowl. In an instant, my skin was torn open and the flesh was exposed. But Dad believed what Amber and her mother said and thought that I had deliberately tripped Amber. You brought it upon yourself. That cold voice made my blood freeze instantly, and Dad was over there comforting Amber tenderly. At that moment, it seemed that the whole world had abandoned me. It was that night that I ran out into the wild. It was Lucas who found me and took me to the hospital to get treated. The young boy's eyes were as bright as stars, shining into my heart and turning into a touch of tenderness. However, the Lucas who had eyes only for me back then had disappeared. Lily, after all, we should look forward in life. Do you want the past unpleasantness to be your nightmare forever? At this moment, these self-righteous words completely shattered my last illusion. Looking at Lucas with that righteous face, I was almost angered into laughter. Who are you to forgive on my behalf? You know best about those pains. Can they be made up for by a casual apology? I will never forget the sins committed by their mother and daughter. Because of anger, my throat was hoarse and painful. Lucas completely lost his patience, and the disappointment in his eyes was abrupt and stinging. Lily, you've really let me down. You're still haggling over things from the past. I know that what happened when you were a kid is a thorn in your side. But it's because your mother was too domineering, cold, and vain that Uncle chose Amber's mom. I don't want you to become like that. We're adults now. We should look forward in life and also care about other people's feelings. Mother is the pain of my whole life. If Amber's mother hadn't meddled in our family, I would have had such a happy family. I staggered and almost fell to the ground. Lucas rushed over quickly and helped me up. Sorry, Lily. I was too impatient. I know how lonely you've been these years, so I hope to give you a complete family. His concerned expression was extremely sincere. At this moment, I really wanted to give him an award for the best actor. I had worked on it for 2 years and ended up in the hospital many times before finally helping him win the title of Movie King. Apparently, his peak acting skills were only for me. Fans and audiences didn't have the fortune to enjoy them. Behind us, Amber was in tears. Sister Lily, I'm sorry. I don't expect you to forgive me immediately, but I won't give up. I shook my head, my eyes cold, and pushed Lucas away forcefully, pushing him towards Amber. Don't bother yourself. I've long lost my family. I used too much force and my foot slipped out of the slipper. Stepping on the ground, I gasped in pain. Yesterday, I walked on the beach in a daze and barefoot for a long time, resulting in wounds all over my feet. The fine cuts were scabbing over. "Lily, what's going on here?" A smear of blood caught Lucas's attention, and he quickly crouched down to check the wound. "I don't need your concern." I resisted and moved away, but Lucas grasped my ankle without asking, "Is it serious? Have you had a tetanus shot?" His sincere eyes and tone made me feel dazed for a moment. However, I had already seen through this face. Amber was still in tears, bowing continuously to show her apology. Obviously, she was quite far from the wooden shelf on one side, but somehow her head bumped into it. Sure enough, Lucas, who had been concerned about my wound just now, immediately got up and stood between me and Amber. "Lily, don't be like this. I invited Amber to our wedding." Thud. Whether intentionally or not, Amber's head bumped into the wooden shelf again. A bit of bright red showed up, and a few drops of blood seeped out. It hurt so much. It was just a scratch, but Lucas glared at me angrily. "Lily, what on earth do you want? Do you want to drive Amber to death?" After saying that, without looking back, he picked up Amber and disappeared outside the door. Perhaps because of the huge emotional fluctuations, I slept from morning until late at night. When I woke up, Lucas happened to push the door open, and a faint fragrance of perfume wafted into my nostrils. It was the scent on Amber's body. "Why didn't you reply to my messages?" Lucas frowned slightly. In the past, no matter how busy I was, I would always reply to his messages. "Didn't see them," I said casually, playing with my phone on my own. Lucas had indeed sent quite a few messages, mostly explaining about taking Amber to the hospital. Perhaps sensing my indifference, Lucas smiled and magically took out an exquisite gift box bag. "This bag is very popular." His outstretched hand stopped in midair, not receiving the warm hug he expected from me. "Put it there." I just gave it a casual glance and could tell that it was something Amber didn't want. Just last night, Amber's anonymous social media account posted a photo with the latest bags all over the table. The bag in front of me was thrown on the ground by her, and a few big words beside it were particularly eye-catching: "Something not presentable." He presented something that Amber looked down upon as a gift to me. Even so, it seemed like a condescending act of charity. It was as if he showed a bit of kindness and I should just take the opportunity to let it go. Yes, it was because I had spoiled him with my preference over the years. Lucas, however, was completely unaware of it and just kept talking on his own. "Amber is all right now. Don't worry. I've already explained it, and she doesn't blame you. As her older sister, you should be more magnanimous. By the way, how's the wedding preparation going?" Since we got engaged, I had spent a full 6 months planning the details of the wedding. All just to have a perfect wedding with Lucas. However, he had never cared about it before. This was the first time he had shown concern for the wedding. "What, are you going to call off the wedding?" When I pretended to joke and said this, I felt my heart pounding wildly, and somehow a last glimmer of hope welled up inside me. Lucas gave an unnatural smile. "How could that be? I just want to hold the wedding at the suburban villa." I remembered that Amber's social media posted a photo in the afternoon, which was of a beautiful suburban villa. The caption read, "Setting up the venue for the proposal ceremony together." At this second, my already battered heart was completely shattered. Seeing that I was silent, Lucas came over and whispered in my ear, "Is it okay?" I glanced at the message on my phone. "Please get your visa done and start work as soon as possible. We're looking forward to having you on board." "Okay. Once you propose on that day, I'll disappear completely." Early the next morning, it was pouring rain. The place Lucas mentioned was a villa in the suburbs. After parking the car, Lucas came to the car door courteously with an umbrella to help me get out. "Sister Lily, brother Lucas, you're here." Amber, wearing a white dress, appeared at the entrance of the manor. "The rain is so heavy. Why didn't you use an umbrella?" He turned a blind eye to Amber's assistant who was holding an umbrella behind her and rushed over quickly. Patter. Suddenly, the heavy rain poured down on my head, stinging my cheeks. And they had already walked into the manor under one umbrella. When Lucas saw me walking over, soaked through, he took out a tissue in a fluster and came over. "Lily, I'm sorry. Amber still has a wound on her forehead, so It's okay. My calmness surprised Lucas a little. The manor was really nice, with magnificent decorations and a quiet and elegant garden. There was also a small pond, with white lotuses blooming in the rain. I had bought it as an investment before and hadn't come here. It could be seen that someone had been taking care of it. Presumably, this was the love nest of Lucas and Amber. Sister Lily, what do you think of this place? The smugness in Amber's tone was clearly shown. Nice. Let's decide on this place. After choosing the location, my decisiveness took Amber and Lucas by surprise. In the car on the way to the jewelry store, they exchanged ambiguous glances. Even when the car stopped, Amber leaned forward and kissed Lucas passionately. All of this was filmed by me, who was pretending to be asleep. When we arrived at the jewelry store, the two of them regained their composure. But from the rippling look in Lucas's eyes, I could tell how much he liked this kind of excitement. He just couldn't get enough of it. As soon as we got out of the car, the salesperson greeted us with a beaming face. It's Mr. Lucas and Miss Amber. Apparently, they recognized this popular couple. Mr. Lucas, are you here to pick up the custom-made wedding ring for Miss Amber? Miss, you've got it wrong. We were just filming here before. Lucas took my hand as if to assert his sovereignty. But Amber on the side smiled faintly, and a just right blush climbed onto her cheeks. The salesperson was extremely embarrassed and had to apologize repeatedly. Amber changed the topic at the right time. Sister Lily, what do you think of this set of jewelry? It was an extremely simple ring, a necklace with a dull luster, and as for the pair of earrings, there was even a crack on them. They were all styles from God knows how long ago. Across the counter, the salesperson's face became very unnatural. No one would want such jewelry even if it was given away for free. I suddenly remembered the words Amber had posted. Something not presentable. Perhaps seeing that I had been silent for a moment, Lucas began to explain. Lily, this set of jewelry was designed by Amber herself for you. It's her most sincere blessing. I took the liberty to cancel the previous order. I turned around and left, saying casually, just this set then. Anyway, I wouldn't wear it, so I might as well go along with their wishes for now. Sister Lily, if you're not satisfied, I'll try my best to design it again. Amber looked submissive, her tone sincere, and she followed closely behind me. No need. Walking out of the jewelry store, as I was about to get into the car, Lucas chased after me and pressed his hand against the car door, with a reproachful look in his eyes. Lily, are you ever going to stop? What? Isn't it okay that I accepted it? You're clearly dissatisfied. Who are you giving that cold face to? Do you know that Amber has been studying for months to design these things? Accepting it indifferently was considered giving a cold face. I shook my head indifferently. There are still some things in the company. You can finalize the remaining details. Lucas was instantly stunned on the spot. That day was not only the wedding day but also my birthday and the anniversary of me and Lucas being together. Counting from when I was 18 until now, it was exactly 10 years. On our third anniversary, I used the money I earned from working part-time to give Lucas a wallet. On our fifth anniversary, our careers started to take off, and I gave him a limited edition watch. On our seventh anniversary, I chartered a yacht and went out to sea, thinking that everything was ready and he would propose to me under the blue sky and clear sea. This time, I had actually ordered a pair of 10-carat diamond rings long ago. For every anniversary, I had put a lot of thought into it. Probably used to greedily enjoying being favored, Lucas couldn't accept my casualness and indifference this time. Have you been too tired recently? Then have a good rest. Amber and I will prepare the rest of the things. Amber also pretended to wipe away her tears. Sister Lily, it's all my fault. I haven't worked hard enough. Lily, Amber has already done her best. Could you please stop being so hard on her? What? I raised my head blankly. I had just been busy negotiating the transfer of shares on my phone. I was going to sell all my 51% of the shares to competitors to cash out. I was really looking forward to seeing Lucas's expression when he found out that he would be working for others. Nothing. I'll leave first. I drove away, leaving Lucas and Amber looking astonished. When signing the contract with the competitor, the other company's boss said with a smile, "What? Are you going to enjoy life with your little lover?" I smiled faintly. "Lucas will stay in the company. I'll leave it to you to take care of him in the future." The other company's boss was stunned for a moment, and then there was a meaningful look in his eyes. At a certain drinking party before, Lucas, who had drunk too much, slapped him in the face. After sobering up, Lucas insisted on not apologizing. It was I who stepped in, humbly gave up some benefits, and finally settled the matter. From now on, Lucas's future has nothing to do with me. I looked at the numbers in my account with satisfaction and said goodbye and left. The setting sun was just right, and the evening breeze was blowing. A message from Lucas came on my phone, asking me to go back to Amber's house. I was originally from Amber's family. To commemorate my mother, I changed my name to Lily despite my father's opposition. Ironically, as for Amber, after her mother married into the Amber family, to please my father, she changed her surname to Amber. On the 7th day after my mother committed suicide, Amber and her mother moved into our home brazenly. I angrily threw things at them, but her mother slapped me several times. My mouth was filled with the fishy smell of blood, and then I was locked in the small dark room. But when my father showed up, they distorted the truth by using the scrape on Amber's arm. It was said that I had hurt Amber and then hid myself in the small dark room. It was said that I was emotionally unstable and had been cutting myself crazily. The look in my father's eyes began to show disappointment and anger that hadn't been there before. He had his new life, while I was indulging in the memory of my mother. Perhaps I was an eyesore to him. Since then, there was only a blood relationship left between him and me. When I woke up from my memories, I had already arrived at the Amber family's mansion. Lucas was acting just like a son-in-law, busy here and there. Uncle said today is the anniversary of Aunt's death. "Let's have a reunion dinner." Lucas casually dropped a sentence and then went to the kitchen. I hadn't eaten anything cooked by him personally for several years. On the other side of the big dining table, my father cast a cold glance at me. "Sit down." Immediately, a silence swept over us. I had already had nothing to say to my father. In his eyes, I was hindering him from pursuing happiness. In his eyes, I, who used to be like a delinquent girl, had disgraced the Amber family. Soon, the table was filled with dishes cooked by Lucas. I took a small bite, and the spicy taste almost made me vomit. My eyes turned red instantly. Spicy. My stomach felt uncomfortable. When I looked up again, Amber and her mother were sitting opposite me. Right. Amber loved spicy food. But today was clearly the anniversary of my mother's death. Why are they here? I threw my chopsticks onto the table, making the table tremble. Enough. My father gave me an angry look, just like the disappointed look he gave me every time Amber distorted the truth. Show no respect for your elders. This is your mother and your sister. Lucas said you had become much more sensible, so I allowed you to come back to the Amber family. I didn't expect you to still be so naughty, so ill-mannered and so headstrong. Amber's mother began to pretend to be weak. Lily, don't be like this. Whatever the mistakes are, they're all my faults. Your father has a bad heart. Don't make him angry, okay? Amber also came over to persuade me, but before I even touched her, she fell to the ground. Lily, what on earth are you doing? Lily, why are you so vicious? Amber is your sister. All of a sudden, I became the target of public criticism. The two men who used to love me the most were both protecting Amber. Even though I was born here and had been with Lucas for over 10 years, it couldn't withstand the change of people's hearts. Being extremely desperate, I let out a light laugh and suppressed all my emotions. I put on the gentlest face and reached out to help Amber up. Sorry. I promise this is the last time I lose my temper. The change was so sudden that they were a bit surprised. Lily, are you serious? There was a hint of surprise in my father's voice. I smiled sweetly and looked at Lucas, who was still protecting Amber. Lucas is right. People always have to look forward. After venting my emotions, I've calmed down. I shouldn't let my mother's affairs become my nightmare. Forgive me for my previous willfulness, okay? Showing weakness brought about a happy ending for everyone. The provocation in Amber's eyes was undisguised and the arrogance of a winner was written all over her face. My father waved his hand with satisfaction and asked people to prepare a new table of dishes. It was still the spicy flavor, but I ate it with big bites. Late at night, I quietly left and took a flight to Los Angeles. On the flight, I had a dream for the first time in a long while. In the dream, Lucas was still that boy in the white school uniform. When Amber brought people to bully me, he kicked the door open. He was like a guardian angel descending from the sky. That was exactly 10 years ago on my 18th birthday. After taking me away, Lucas confessed his love to me. Lily, I want to protect you for the rest of my life. Could you give me this chance? I thought that Lucas was the most wonderful birthday gift from heaven. Perhaps the dream was the last attachment to the past. The endless sea passed beneath my feet. I completely cut off my past from myself. When I arrived in the United States, the person sent by the company gave me a big hug right away. It was Edward, an acquaintance I had worked with before. Come to think of it, he was also one of the founders of the company. He just chose to develop abroad later. Power woman, you've become even more beautiful. Stop talking nonsense. Hurry up and show me around the work. Okay. When I checked into the hotel, I remembered to turn on my phone. Countless missed calls and messages filled the screen. Coincidentally, Lucas's phone rang again. Lily, where on earth are you? His voice was anxious, and I could tell his panic at the moment. Isn't today the day you proposed to Amber? I won't disturb you too. Propose? What are you talking about? Today is our wedding day. Lucas was incoherent. He, who had always been so reserved, was so flustered for the first time. Lily, all our relatives and friends have come to bless us. Where on earth have you gone? Let me come and pick you up, okay? Don't be naughty. We've broken up. I hung up the phone. Blessing? Are you kidding? For the wedding, I deliberately invited all the friends I knew in the entertainment circle. I had people set up the photos of Lucas and Amber kissing passionately in the middle. There were also the materials investigated by the private detective I hired, which were made into a video lasting dozens of minutes. My friends told me that Amber was so angry that she rushed onto the stage but couldn't turn off the playing video. The buyer of the villa showed up under my arrangement, and everyone was driven out. The so-called wedding made Lucas a laughingstock in the circle. I changed my phone number and also deleted Lucas's social media accounts. The world became quiet. I devoted all my energy to the career of the new company and was preparing to produce a movie. From the script to the casting, I did everything by myself. I was busy from morning till dusk every day. Suddenly, heavy rain came when I just walked out of the company. A hoarse voice suddenly came. Lily. I suddenly turned around and saw Lucas with a scruffy beard appearing on the opposite side of the street. The glamour and sharpness had disappeared, and only a haggard look was left on his face. That dazzling movie king now looked like a bankrupt homeless man. What are you doing here? I frowned slightly. Lucas quickly walked over and tried to hold my hand. Lily, come back with me. His tone was so certain, as if I were still something he could control. We've broken up. I won't disturb you and Amber anymore. I avoided Lucas, and a deep sense of loss instantly gathered in his eyes. Lily, I admit that I once had feelings for Amber. But do you know? When you didn't show up on our wedding day, I went crazy looking for you everywhere. The setting sun shone on his side face, and a glimmer of hope flickered in his deep eyes. In the past, I would have been deceived by this look, deeply attracted and trapped in it. However, that was in the past. A few days before I left, I found a hidden document on my computer. It was locked. I tried all the passwords related to myself and Lucas, but couldn't open it. Finally, I entered Amber's birthday. Sure enough, the document was opened. It was full of intimate photos of Lucas and Amber, as well as Lucas's diary. Since that night, my world has been filled with you. Now I realize that loving Lily was just a habit from our school days. The freshness and vitality you bring me are something Lily can never give me in her whole life. It was at a party that Lucas and Amber got together after drinking. If he really cared about me, he should have left when he saw Amber. How could he drink with her, let alone have sex after drinking? He liked this kind of excitement, the feeling of having everything while walking on the edge of a knife. When I pointed these out, Lucas's face suddenly turned much paler, and the light in his eyes shattered bit by bit. His Adam's apple bobbed, and just as he was about to say something, I interrupted him immediately. "If you harass me again, I'll call the police." Lucas froze on the spot, and I walked past him in a stylish and unrestrained manner. Since that day, Lucas showed up at the entrance of the company every day, holding a bunch of golden roses in his hands. Those were my favorite flowers. Even if I threw the flowers into the trash bin right in front of him, he would just smile faintly, his deep eyes fixed on me. "Lily, I won't give you up." Not only at the company, but sometimes he would also silently appear opposite my apartment, ring the doorbell, put down a small gift, and then leave from a distance. The paper cranes folded in high school, the teddy bear caught when I played the claw machine for the first time, and the sketch we left by the seaside when we graduated from university. All of these were things that I had thrown away when I was cleaning up at home. I didn't know how much effort he had put in to get them back. It was another evening. I was working overtime at the company. When I left, Lucas was standing outside the door, holding a bowl of steaming hot soup in his hands. There was a glimmer in his eyes, like a child waiting for praise. "Lily, this is your favorite lotus root and pork rib soup. I've been cooking it for a long time." His tone was cautious, as if he was afraid of breaking something. "So you remember what I like?" I remember everything. You like light and slightly sweet flavors, and you dislike." He stopped abruptly. Lucas, who had always held his chin high, lowered it. "You don't like spicy food." I hated spicy food the most. Probably because of a problem that started when I was a teenager. As long as I ate something spicy, my stomach would be in unbearable pain. But in recent years, when Lucas was with me, we ate spicy food more and more frequently. It was because of Amber. Loving her, he also fell in love with this kind of excitement. In an instant, he forgot that I, who had been by his side since I was a teenager, couldn't stand this taste. Seeing Lucas's embarrassment, I let out a light laugh. "Look, you don't care about me that much after all. You chased me here just because you couldn't accept that I left on my own initiative. You just can't accept losing the luxury of being favored." The light in Lucas's eyes died out, and he stood there dejectedly. The wind and rain were gloomy, and big raindrops fell down. I got into the car and left without looking back. Lucas left. I didn't even realize which day he left. I was completely devoted to the preparation of the movie. After a while, the movie needed an Asian face, so I went back to China to choose actors. My girlfriends held a welcome party for me at a bar and told me that Lucas was having a really hard time. "Without you, Lucas has lost a lot of money just for breaching contracts. The cooperations you negotiated before were all cancelled by the new boss. Lucas's status has dropped several levels. Originally, Lucas's status was forcibly boosted by you. The new employer won't spoil him at all." Hearing these, my heart was as calm as an ancient well without any ripples. Whether he was doing well or not had nothing to do with me anymore. Amid the neon lights and the clinking of glasses, I went to the toilet. When I came out, a drunken figure almost bumped into me. Under the flickering lights, Lucas, who was so thin that he almost lost his shape, looked at me with surprise in his eyes. "Lily, I knew you would come back." The smell of alcohol was strong. I took a few steps back. "It's just for work." "No, you must have come back to find me, right? Please respect yourself." However, Lucas lost his reason and pushed me into a corner. His hot breath rushed towards me. His overbearing lips were cold with a bit of heat. Then there was a bit of a bloody taste. I bit his lip. Suddenly, a shrill voice rang out. "What are you doing?" It was Amber. She rushed over, pulled Lucas away from in front of me, and looked at me with resentment in her eyes. "Aren't you supposed to be hiding abroad? Why are you back now to pester brother Lucas?" I let out a light laugh and wiped the blood from my lips. "What? Are you a fly and think that others all like to compete with you for shit? You? My sharp counterattack made Amber so angry that her face turned red. She held onto the corner of Lucas's clothes, wanting him to back her up. Boring. When I asked him, he just said he forgot and said he would definitely bring it back next time he passed by. Next time? We've already broken up. It's not up to you. How about I propose to you? Do you know that I came back to China to find these? With that, Lucas took out an exquisite box from his pocket. Under the dim light, it shone brightly, like a morning star. It was the pair of wedding rings that I had ordered for our wedding and sold after I found out that Lucas had cheated on me. I didn't feel the slightest bit of touched. I just found it boring. The plot of a sudden realization and repentance might be okay to watch in a play, but in reality, such a contrast before and after is really disgusting. Just right. Get the engraved words on it polished off and keep it for you and Amber to use. I pulled away and left. No, these are our wedding rings. Amber stopped Lucas, who was chasing after me with a look of great sorrow on her face. Brother Lucas, I'm the one you love the most. During the tugging, Amber fell to the ground and burst out crying. It was such a cheap trick again, but this time, Lucas didn't stop his steps. Lucas made our relationship public on social media. We were childhood sweethearts when we were young. We sat in front of and behind each other's desks in middle school. We supported and struggled together after graduating from university. Under each photo, there were affectionate handwritten words left by him. Lily, I love you. Lily, do you still remember this lake? We had our first kiss right here. What happened with Amber was just an illusory dream. All I want is our real future. His crazy fans were extremely touched. Who is Lily? She's so lucky. Please say yes to him. No matter what happened before, he deserves to be forgiven. However, since I had already escaped from the sea of suffering, how could I jump back in? Work was the best medicine to forget the scars. I was busy with the open auditions for the movie roles every day. Next. Following my assistant's voice, I rubbed my brows. Edward on the side smiled. What? Have you seen so many handsome guys that you're getting tired of it? Yes. Let me take a look at you to get rid of the boredom. Edward immediately pursed his lips, looking quite hurt. A smile tugged at the corners of my mouth. Suddenly, the phone rang. It was Sebastian, Lucas's assistant. Sister Lily, please come to the hospital quickly. Lucas has been in a car accident. Before I could react, Edward had already dragged me into the car. On the way, Sebastian told me that Lucas had been practicing his driving skills hard, treating himself like a professional racing driver, and that's why he had the car accident. He should be planning to come here for the audition, Edward sighed. After all, the background of the movie was about car racing. When we arrived at the hospital, Lucas was still in the operating room. Amber and my father were waiting at the door. Seeing me, my father's eyes were instantly filled with coldness. What are you doing back in China? Why did you hurt Amber yesterday? Ever since you were a kid, you've been bullying her. If it weren't for her kindness, I would have driven you out of the Amber family long ago. If it weren't for you, how could Amber and Lucas have ended up like this? Now, apologize to Amber immediately. His tone was as uncompromising as always. Dad, Sister Lily didn't mean it. Even at this time, Amber was still pretending, but the resentment in her eyes couldn't be concealed. She seemingly casually showed the bruise on her arm, and my father saw it and became a bit angrier. Don't speak for her. She was a delinquent girl when she was at school. If you slander me again, I'll call the police right away. I said coldly. My father was furious, and he raised his hand high, about to slap me in the face the next second. I'm your father. It's only natural for me to teach you a lesson. Leave me alone. You. I stared coldly at my father. After a moment, he reluctantly withdrew his hand and slumped down in his seat. Take a good look at this. I threw a document into my father's arms. At this time, the door of the operating room opened, and Lucas was pushed out. The doctor said that it was a close call, but he was actually out of danger. Amber was in tears, bending over in front of Lucas. Brother Lucas, are you okay? I'm so worried about you. Does it still hurt? Let me have a look. However, Lucas's eyes were full of disgust. He impatiently pushed Amber aside and stared at me affectionately on purpose. Amber was shocked, her body trembling slightly. Lily, you've come to see me. But the next second, after seeing Edward beside me, Lucas's eyes were gloomier than ever before. How did you two get together? I stood in front of Edward and said calmly. What's going on between Edward and me has nothing to do with you. No, you're mine. Lucas roared. Edward couldn't bear to watch it anymore and sneered. Lucas, it was you who betrayed Lily. Now you're really despicable for trying to smear her like this. Get away from Lily. Lucas's eyes were bloodshot, staring fixedly at Edward. If his arm hadn't been in a cast, he probably would have rushed over immediately. Forget it. Let's go. I just turned around when a figure suddenly rushed towards me. Fortunately, Edward pulled me so I wasn't hit. Lily, it's all your fault. Amber's face was full of resentment, holding a syringe in her hand which almost stabbed me just now. Edward quickly knocked the syringe away and stood in front of me. Lucas stared at Amber furiously. Amber, how dare you hurt Lily? If it weren't for her, you wouldn't have abandoned me. Amber became hysterical. Clearly, she was the third party, but now it seemed to be my fault. Lucas glanced at me in panic and shook Amber off violently. Enough. We shouldn't have started in the first place. No, it won't be like this. You said you would propose to me on Lily's wedding day. Amber knelt on the ground, clinging tightly to Lucas's hand, crying pitifully. She didn't understand why Lucas, who used to care about her so much even when she shed just one tear, had become so indifferent. Get out. It's all because you seduced me that Lily left. No, you said Lily was too domineering and boring. You said I was 100 times better than her. You're lying. The two of them were tearing at each other like dogs. Amber's face was covered with blood. She crawled towards my father, seeking protection. However, what greeted her was an extremely cold look. Get out. You bastard. The document I threw at my father was a paternity test report. Although it hadn't been made public, I knew clearly that father had always thought Amber was his daughter, so he doted on her especially. However, when I was investigating Amber and Lucas, I accidentally found that there was a middle-aged man who had a close relationship with Amber and her mother. So when I decided to leave, I took the opportunity to collect samples of Amber's and father's hair. His most beloved little daughter was actually an illegitimate child born out of his beloved woman's affair. Ironically, he had been raising her like a precious jewel for over 10 years. Dad, what are you talking about? Amber's pitiful look didn't win her any pity this time. Instead, father slapped her hard. In the hospital corridor, a melodramatic farce was staged. That night, the incident became a trending topic on the internet. Amber's family's illegitimate daughter shocks everyone. Movie king Lucas gets involved in a fight. Overnight, Lucas went from being a movie king to a person who was blocked and became notorious in the industry. He came to the outside of my apartment, got down on one knee, and knelt there for a long time. Lily, can we go back to the way we were before? Lily, after 10 years of relationship, can you bear to let it go? I called the security guards and had them drag him out. You'd better think about the matter of the breach of contract. My words hit Lucas's weak spot, and he fled in a panic and disappeared into the night. He never showed up in front of me again. A few days later, I heard that Amber and her mother were driven out of the Amber family. Probably after a fierce fight, Amber's mother was sent to prison. Amber was blocked by the entertainment industry and completely disappeared from the public eye. Father was so enraged that he had a stroke and became a vegetable. I went to the hospital to see him once and signed an agreement for his entrusted care. Father's eyes were full of despair and lifelessness. Only when he saw me did a flash of endless regret show in his eyes. Since then, I had nothing to do with him anymore. I completely bid farewell to the past, and my career also underwent a complete transformation. The first low-budget movie received a flood of praise, and I immediately plunged into the shooting of the second one. After a scene in a heavy rainstorm, I suddenly thought that one of the extras in the distance looked a bit familiar. It was Lucas. He had actually become an extra. He limped and staggered in the mud. Edward told me that previously, Lucas couldn't afford to pay the breach of contract fees and got his leg broken when he tried to run away. Perhaps noticing my gaze, Lucas hurriedly turned around and lowered his head to pick up the cheapest boxed lunch. I smiled, feeling extremely calm in my heart. A ray of light flashed across the sky, and a bright rainbow appeared, just like my future life.